Welcome to the Direct Snap Dads podcast, where we cover the best in football. And now your hosts, Tyson and Luke Randall.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Direct Snap Dads podcast. This is Luke Randall with none other than my epic brother, Tyson Randall. Tyson, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, folks. It's good to have you back.
It's back in, man. School's back in. We are no longer in the summer. Can you believe that? Well, maybe you're still in school. You've been doing school.
Yeah, I've been doing school, but I finished up last week, so got a couple weeks off to do a podcast.
Fantastic. Yeah, dude, you've been nonstop, man, for sure.
I know.
I can't even believe how much you're trying to get done all at once, but major respect.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a busy year, but
for sure. Hey, listeners, we're glad you're back with us. Guess what? Football time is almost upon us. I believe we are about 2 weeks out from regular season action, since preseason is no indication of how the real thing will go. But we are around the corner. We're excited. We got a great show for you today. Tyson, you want to tell the listeners a little bit what we're going to do today to welcome the show back in for 2019?
I do, yeah. We're going to talk today about our predictions. So Luke and I actually went on a trip to San Diego in May.
Oh, yeah.
And we wrote down our predictions all the way back then for the season. So,
and I've changed mine since then because I feel like I had no clue back then. And I'm still clueless, but I was even more clueless back in May of this year.
Yeah, and I haven't looked at mine since, so I'm hoping they hold up to kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen now. So
I lost mine, so that's why I had to redo them.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to go through our predictions for the season on how each team is going to do, and then we're going to go through our week one picks. So we're going to kind of preview each game that's going to happen in week one, starting in September. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the teams we're most excited to see this year. And then we'll get to our traditional games that we always play at the end of the podcast. So
definitely.
Good stuff coming up.
All right. So now we're not even doing an appetizer. We're going to jump right into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. Let's talk about season predictions. And Tyson, do you want to kick us off with your predictions for the AFC East?
Yep, we'll start all the way in the way back east with the the one-team division.
The one-team division, yeah. There's not even three other teams in this division.
Yep.
Did you know that I was playing NFL Blitz 2000 today, and I did a season on there, and did you know that the Colts used to be in their division? I guess the divisions used to be different back then, and I didn't know that the Colts were in that division back then.
Yeah, that was... I don't remember when they switched, but there used to be 3 divisions in each conference, and they each had 5 teams.
There's a lot of weird things in that game. Did you know Steve Atwater is on the Jets in that game?
Really?
He played for the Jets for 1 year, and it's funny because there's some really funny roster things on there. Some guy, his last name's Batch or something, playing quarterback for the Lions, and there's some random quarterbacks on that game.
Yeah,
I didn't realize 99 was kind of a weird year for quarterbacks.
Yeah, I actually know that guy, Charlie Batch. Well, I don't know him personally, but I know who you're talking about.
Isn't that crazy? Anyways, we'll talk NFL Blitz later, but that was a little tangent. However, Tyson, let's get started on the AFC East. What do you got?
Right. Yeah, so the one-team division, the Patriots are going to win the division.
Surprise.
Surprise, yeah. So I've actually got the Patriots going at 13-3. Just looking through their schedule, there's no way they're not going to dominate again. They're kind of the top team. Everyone's picking them to win the Super Bowl again. They haven't changed much. Tom Brady's still Tom Brady, so they're gonna do well. So I've got the Patriots at 13-3, and I actually had the Jets at 6-10 coming in second.
That's a big gap.
Yeah. There's not much I can say about these last three teams.
Okay.
But the Jets 6-10, the Bills 5-11, and I'd actually probably switch those now, just because the Bills are looking better in their preseason and their training camps and
Hey,
stuff.
now's a good time to switch things. If you want to officially switch, now's the time to make note of it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with what I had said way back in May, just because if I'm right, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, I knew way back
Right.
when.
I wish
No,
I
yeah,
still had that. I have no idea where my predictions went, but I looked all over in my notes and my texts and I didn't see it. So I just redid it today while I was playing NFL Blitz. No.
nice.
Okay, my predictions. I've got the Patriots in first at 12-4, so I was just one game slightly less optimistic about their outcome. I feel like there will be maybe one more surprise loss in there, like the Titans last year or something like that
Yeah,
they won. But um, and it seems like the Patriots always get caught off guard for one or two games every year, but they're not important games usually.
yeah.
Okay. I also agreed with you. I had the Jets coming in second. I was more optimistic about their record as well. I have them at 9-7.
Woo!
The only reason is because I wonder if Le'Veon Bell will bring a little bit more of a winning attitude. That's a coin flip. He could either hurt them or help them. I'm going to be optimistic and think he'll help them. Sometimes when teams get new uniforms, they tend to be a little better. I don't know if that's the case here or not. But I also am being optimistic about Darnold.
Darnold, yeah.
Darnold, my goodness, I always get Donald and Darnold mixed up, but they're very different people. I think I think Darnold's gonna hopefully be better this year than he was, but you never know. He might actually be worse. But anyways, long story short, I've got the Dolphins in third. There, I was optimistic there. You're gonna laugh at this one too, but I got them at 8-8. I feel like
Woo!
they're the perennial 8-8 team. I think they're going to have some stuff break their way, but not enough to actually be a contender. The Bills I have in fourth at 6-10. So I did not. I was not. I didn't check this mathematically to see if this was right. I didn't know how you did that in the airport back in May. So while we were
Oh
filling this
yeah.
out for our flight, but I just went with
It's
what I thought, and if it's wrong, it's wrong. Hopefully, I'll be right on at least one of these 32 teams.
yeah, it's all good. The maths, who cares?
Can't figure out.
So
Yeah. Okay. Take us
I
through.
actually had the
Oh yeah. Go
oh
ahead. Sorry.
I actually had the Dolphins. I didn't say mine. So this is
Oh, you didn't say. I cut you off. Look at me.
oh no, you're fine. So the Dolphins, I actually picked them to be 2-14.
Oh no way. Really?
So yeah, and if you remember back at the airport, you said you would buy me dinner if they were actually that bad.
Yeah, I will. I will buy you dinner if they are 2-14 at the end of this year. I just can't see it.
I the reason I think that is they offloaded all their talent. They have a brand new coach. They're gathering draft capital right now. I think that they're gonna just test out the young guys all year. They're not gonna really like they'll play the games, but they just have so many young guys and they want those early draft picks too. I think they're just gonna tank a little bit. Like maybe not this bad. They might be
I'll tell
fourth.
you what. I'll tell you what your team's got going for you. The Dolphins' strong points are their uniforms are one of the best in the NFL. They have a great stadium. They have one of the most epic quarterbacks of all time in their history. But one of their weakest points is their front office and their management. They are one of the
Yeah.
worst managed teams in the NFL. I don't know what their front office is doing.
Yeah, and that's why I think they're going to be bad this year is because they're trying to change that.
Yeah.
And kind of the strategy is you got to take a hit so that you can get ahead next
Yeah.
season. So I don't think they're going to do very well this year, but I'll still be excited to see them play.
Definitely. Well, I guess that does it for the AFC East. Let's go to the AFC North. I believe we got the Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Steelers, all those teams. Do you want me to go first on this one, or do you want to go first?
How about you go first this time?
All right, this time I'll go first. So I've got the Steelers winning the division again. A lot of people are doubting the Steelers right now, but I just think that they're that team with Roethlisberger and Tomlin. They always find a way to be good. So I have them at 11-5. winning the division. I think they'll be slightly better than last year. They dropped some games that they shouldn't have dropped last year, but they may even be healthier without AB in that office. We'll see. Okay, and then this gets weird. I got the Browns in second. Again, optimistic, but I've got them at 9-7. I think the Browns will be better than last year, but still not quite playoff contenders. So they'll be on the fringe. They'll be on the fringe, but
yeah, they will. They're the most overhyped team.
Yeah, they are. And they're talented. They have talent on their team, but I mean, there is so many factors like injury and stuff that could cripple them. Mayfield's only in his second year. A lot of quarterbacks will have great first years and terrible second years. And, I'm not saying that will happen, but it's too early to tell exactly what kind of guy Mayfield is. He needs to go through more crucible before we figure out what kind of person he is. Third place, I've got the Ravens. I actually have the Ravens tied with the Browns at 9-7. I feel like they're going to be pretty neck and neck this year, and I could be wrong, but that's kind of my feeling about it. Lamar Jackson, he's young too, and they have two young quarterbacks. But I think that the Browns, how do they determine that? Is it like division wins or something if someone's tied who takes second place? Or
So it's number of wins. If they have the same amount of wins, they go division or head to head.
Oh, head to head. Okay.
Head to head, and then division record, and then conference record, and then league record, or something like that.
So that's a coin flip, but for some reason, I think the Browns, even if they're tied with them, will have beaten the Ravens both times. I don't know why I think that. That's not, again, that's a coin flip. But then I got the Bengals at 6-10. And that's give or take. They could be 5-11 or 4-12 this year. I don't even know. I was being kind of generous to most teams. I don't have a single team under 4-12 this year, so I was a little bit generous. But anyways, what's your take on this division?
I think I've got two teams under 4-12, but we'll get to the other one I was thinking. But so for the AFC North, it's funny because I have the Steelers winning at 11-5 as well. If I think back, I don't remember why I said that. Like Big Ben's still going to play. AB, I think that he will miss them more than they will miss him.
Oh, I agree. I think he made a terrible mistake.
Yeah. Once he's playing in Oakland, and I don't know, Oakland's not really where anyone wants to go.
Yeah.
So,
although I think I will defend something about Oakland. I think that first of all, I think the Raiders have the coolest uniforms in the NFL. I agree. I think they're first, and I think the Dolphins and Chargers are close seconds. I really like their uniforms, but and I don't know, have we ever done a uniform episode before? Maybe we'll have to do that.
We need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I've got, I think the Raiders have the most classic, intimidating, cool looking uniforms, and then the Al Davis days were really cool too, the Madden days and those classic 70s days. But boy, throughout the 2000s, after Super Bowl 37, when they lost to the Bucks, they just fell off a cliff and haven't been able to climb back up really.
Yeah. The tuck rule game. It was the tuck rule game
that was the switch. But I kind of miss the days of the Raiders being a legit contender. I think those were cool days when you had the Raiders and Steelers, kind of the bullies of the AFC, and they were two dark teams that would go up against each other. I mean, you got to have a couple villains in the NFL. But anyways, no, I agree. They're not going to be great this year. But yeah.
Yeah, I see the Raiders kind of. So looking at like what people say now about the Raiders, because they've been bad for so long enough now that everyone's like, oh yeah, the Raiders. Pff. But like when we were younger, the Raiders were like the bad boys, like they were always kind of there. They were a good team, a good franchise. So I kind of still see them like that.
I do
even
too.
Though they've made a ton of mistakes over the years and they just haven't been good. I still kind of view them as a classic team and I
think Al Davis's prime was the 70s. I think the 70s and early 80s were kind of his heydays where he was acquiring the right players and managing them well. He had Madden in at coach and stuff. Those were good days, but I mean, After the Bo Jackson and Marcus Allen days and stuff like that, that's when it started to kind of head downhill. They had a couple flickers, but anyways, we could go on about the Raiders all day, but
Yeah.
yeah. So let's hear about the rest of this division.
Okay, so I had the Browns at 9-7 too, coming in
Okay.
second. I think that the Browns have a chance to make the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
I really like Baker Mayfield. I wish the Dolphins would have drafted him because he's got the attitude, like that. And Cleveland needs it more than anyone. So I'm glad they have him. But anyway, this team, the Browns team, is way overhyped in my opinion. Just because they got a ton of talent, they haven't won a single game yet. They haven't even played a single game yet. Let's see them play a few games before we can say, yeah, they're going to be a super team this year or whatever people are saying.
Sure.
So I've got the Browns at 9-7, Ravens 8-8. They always do okay. And then I was less optimistic on the Bengals. I had them at 4-12.
Yeah, like I said, I could see them being that way as well. They're perennially bad.
Yeah. Well, even more so now, I think AJ Green's still injured. I don't know if he'll be back for week 1.
Yeah, that's going to hurt them.
So he's their only good player.
I think last year without AJ Green, you'll have to check me on this, but I think they were, after he went out, they were like 0-5 or 0-6 when he was out.
Yeah.
And then they were like 4-1 when he was in, or something. It was some number like that. But
he's a difference maker. He's a big difference maker for them.
Yeah. Hey, let's hit the AFC South. Go ahead and give us what you got for that.
All right. So I've got the Colts winning this division, and I could even see the Colts making it deep into the playoffs this year too, because they've improved. They were good last year, and I think they've just improved, this offseason. So I've got them winning the division at 12-4. I've got the Texans at 10-6. I think they'll be another playoff team. They've been in the playoffs the last few years. They've been pretty good the past several years. Titans 7-9. They're another perennial middle of the road team. 8-8, 7-9.
Yeah.
9-7. In there.
Yeah.
And then I had the Jaguars at 4-12, but that was before they got Nick Foles. So I don't know. I'm not going to change it, but
that was
they could do better.
I had an advantage there because there's been some acquisitions, some trades, and some injuries that have happened too that have changed my outcome. So like I said, it's free game if you want to change these, but you can keep your glory ride if you want. No,
I'll keep the glory
I've also there you go. I've also got the Colts winning this division. I've also have them at 12-4. I've also got the Texans at 10-6 coming in second. Where I differ a little bit is the Titans. I had them at 9-7, but I also think that they're one of those 500 teams like the Dolphins that they'll win a game and they'll win a great game. They'll beat a great team and then they'll lose a terrible game the next week, and they're another one of those. The Titans and Dolphins to me are pretty similar in that way lately, except the Dolphins have a much richer history. But then I got the Jaguars in last, but I have them at 7-9. I do think that Foles will be an acquisition that could bump them up a few wins. Foles is now that veteran that you can trust with an offense, and if he can adjust well with them, they'll be all right this year, but certainly not contenders. I will be wrong if they are. I'd be surprised. So that's my take on the AFC South, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my AFC West as well. We're going to wrap up the AFC here. A little bit surprising. I just have a feeling about this one. I have the Chargers in first at 11-5.
Ooh.
I have the Chiefs in second and a possible wild card team at 10-6. I think the Tyreek Hill situation could hurt them, and I don't know if Mahomes. I'll be surprised if Mahomes can be as hot 2 years in a row as he was last year. He'll be a legend if he is.
That's a bold take.
Yeah, that's my bold take. I think the Chargers will be better than the Chiefs this year by one game, but I also would not count the Chiefs out of beating the Chargers in the playoffs. I think some of the Chargers' losses will come to the Chiefs because they'll be great competitors. However, the Chargers seem pretty loaded this year. We'll see how that ends up being. The Raiders I have in third at 7-9. I don't think that they'll be incredibly good, but I think Gruden will be getting a little bit of traction with them. I don't even know if they'll ever be above 500 with Gruden. I'll be surprised if they do, but this year certainly not, but closer than last year. And then I have the Broncos in last at 4-12. I just don't think the Broncos are going to be very good this year. They've made some weird decisions. Who do they have at quarterback now? I'm trying to remember.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Flacco now at the end of in the twilight of his career. We'll see
And
if
they're
Mr.
paying him.
Elway is,
Yeah,
making the right personnel decisions.
Right, and they're paying him as much as the Peyton Manning. Like Joe Flacco, Peyton Manning. That doesn't make sense to me.
That's way too much, man. All right, give us your AFC West take, Tyson.
Okay, this is actually one of the divisions I'm most excited about. I've got the Chiefs winning at 14-2.
Wow.
that's my highest. That's the most wins I'm giving anybody is 14 and to the Chiefs. I think they're going to be just as hot as they were last year. I think they're going to be even hotter because they're upset, that they made it so far, did so well in that championship game and came up short. I think they're going to take it to the Patriots this year.
They got to fix up that defense.
Yeah, we'll see. I could see Chiefs and Patriots in the championship again.
Yeah.
Got the Chargers at 11-5 in second.
No, that's what I had them at.
Okay.
Except I had them at first at 11-5.
Yeah. Phillip Rivers, he's still going to do well this year. The only thing this was before the Melvin Gordon situation. That's the only thing I'm concerned about for the Chargers is, are they going to have as much of a running game if Melvin Gordon doesn't come back? Hopefully he does. If Melvin Gordon comes back to this team, I'm going to say they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
So got the Raiders. So I had to go out on a limb. I had to throw in some funny business. Had to have a couple ties. So I have the Raiders at third at 5-10-1.
Okay.
And the team that I had them tying with is the Broncos, who I have at 3-12-1.
Oh, wow.
So.
All right.
And here's the thing about the Broncos.
Well, and I'm going to say this, and you would not want me to say this, but this one's for Pat.
Their defense is amazing. Their offense, not so amazing, especially without Emmanuel Sanders. He got hurt, I think. He's like their shiny spot on that offense, and he's probably not going to be around for the first couple of weeks. So,
oh, gotcha.
Without him, I don't think they're going to, Von Miller can't win the game all by himself. Well, maybe he could, but I'm not going to give it to him.
Yeah, that's a tall order to ask Von Miller, but man, he's been in the NFL's top 10 players for like the last 4 or 5 out of 6 years. He's always there.
Bernie Kosar has definitely the best feet.
So it's time for our NFC predictions for the 2019 season. Let's see. I think, Tyson, it's your turn to kick this one off for us.
Okay, we'll start out with the NFC East. Super Bowl contender I have winning the division, the Eagles, 12-4. I think they're going to be right up there with the Saints and Rams this year. They're one of those teams that's going to do real well.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is a bit of a question mark just because he hasn't been able to stay healthy. But I think if he does stay healthy, they're only a year removed from the Super Bowl. Like they still have most of that team, so they're going to be up there.
Yeah.
So I've got the Eagles winning at 12-4. I've got the Cowboys coming at 10-6, and the Redskins at 5-11, and then the Giants at 4-12.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I don't think the Giants are not going to be good. They've got so many front office problems, and they're in the middle of a QB controversy as well. Daniel Jones or Eli Manning, who are they going to play?
Right. Because Daniel Jones came out on fire in the preseason. He was doing really well, and then the crowd was booing when they took him out.
Yeah.
They were like, you better keep. So I think they will have a crisis and a controversy. But I don't think quite to the extent that you're thinking. I'm a little bit different. in that sense. I have the Eagles winning the division at 12-4, so I was exactly with you on that. I have the Cowboys in second at 10-6. What did you have them at?
10-6.
10-6, yeah. So I've got the exact top end as you, but my bottom end's different. I think the Giants are actually going to be 8-8 this year. I think that Daniel Jones. Here's what I think. I think they're going to try to put Eli in. He's not going to do well. They're going to lose 3 or 4 games. They'll put Jones in and they'll win 3 or 4, and then they'll just win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. They're just going to be one of those. They're going to be a team that they can't quite bounce back to the extent, but I think they'll be about 500 by the end of this year. And we'll have to pull recordings at the end of the year. I'll have to take our voices of what we say. Like, let's say the Giants are 1-15, then we'll take me saying, and the Giants are going to be one of those 500 teams. I'm going to take all our awful predictions and make a little reel at the end of the year.
That'll be funny.
Okay. And then I've got the Redskins in last at 4-12. I don't think the Redskins are going to be good this year. They have had some tough luck ever since 1992 when they won the Super Bowl. They just cannot get back on track. Alex Smith didn't work out for them. I don't even know who's playing quarterback. Who's the rookie?
They drafted Dwayne Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins, yeah. So we'll have to see what happens. I don't think they're going to be good enough all around the horn, though. So I got the Redskins in last at 4-12.
I think he'll do well. I'm excited about Dwayne Haskins. I think he's a good quarterback, and he was kind of one of those guys that he should have been a top 10, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I think he went at 15. He should have gone before 15. Like the Bengals or Dolphins or somebody should have picked him up before then.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to do real well.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll take you through the NFC North. It's time. This is a weird division this year. I don't know what to make a lot of these teams. I just don't know what's going to happen with this. I know the Lions will be in last. I have the Bears winning the division, but it's a toss-up. I have the Bears at 11-5. I feel like if they stay hot like last year and Trubisky does okay, they'll be a playoff contender. I don't know about Super Bowl contender, but they'll be in the playoffs or wild card. Then I have the Packers at 10-6, which now I'm feeling like that's optimistic for them. I don't know if Rodgers can just be their savior every time and just get them to the wild card, but I also had the Vikings at 10-6 too. So I don't know what to make of this division. I feel like that's overly optimistic for both those teams, but I also am leaving it open for one of them to surprise us. But then I have the Lions at 5-11. So I'm curious what you're going to bring to the table as far as predictions here, because this was the hardest division for me to try to predict for some reason.
Yeah. I was actually really brutal to this division. So I was not as optimistic. So I kind of went AFC East on this division. So I've got the Bears winning the division at 11-5. I agree with you. They're one of those teams. They're going to win the division. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to do well in the playoffs, but they might, I don't know if they'll be Super Bowl contenders. Yeah. But they're definitely in the mix for it. And then after that, I've got the Packers at 7-9.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
seriously, I had the Packers somewhere between 10-6 and 5-11 this year. Yeah. I don't know. They're totally a wild one.
They are hard to predict because on the one hand you've got Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand you've got nothing else.
Yeah, you've got nothing else. So I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And then I actually have the Lions in third.
Okay.
At 6-10. Yeah. And then the Vikings in fourth at 6-10. Okay. Meaning, so their record's the same, but they'll actually, I feel like the Lions will probably beat them in the head-to-head in the division and stuff. Yeah. I think that, the Lions had their first year under Matt Patricia last year. I think they're going to do a little bit better under him this year, or at least be a little more, not as atrocious as they were last year, even though they did beat the Patriots. That was a hopeful moment for them, but they didn't do much else.
Didn't do much else with it.
And I kind of gave the Vikings last, kind of in spite of their decision to sign Kirk Cousins to that much money and then blowing it last season. Like, they were supposed to be the Super Bowl contender last year, but they tanked. They dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And so I'm putting them in last so that they can prove me wrong and show me that they're still that team that almost made it to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. So we'll move on to the NFC South now. I'll go first. So I did the same thing to this division, it looks like. So I've got the Saints winning at 13-3. That's a given. Not the record, but the Saints winning. You know, no one's going to... I will be very surprised if someone beats out the Saints for this division, because they've got the same team, pretty much the same team, plus they're mad about last year.
They're mad. They absolutely got
robbed
last year. Yeah,
everyone knows they got robbed of a Super Bowl appearance. So
absolutely,
yeah. Saints 13-3. You got the Panthers at 8-8. They're the hallmark 8-8 team, I feel like. Like we talk about the Dolphins and Titans being 8-8, perennial 8-8 teams. The Panthers, in my opinion, are the hallmark 8-8 team. They're bad one year, they're good the next, but they're always like right in the middle there.
Right.
So Bucks, I've got them at 6-10, coming in at third, and then I've got the Falcons at 5-11. That was a little disingenuous to them, just because they didn't have as good of a year last year. They had a ton of injuries that kind of made them not as good, but they've still got all the pieces. You know, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. So I was a little disingenuous to them, putting them in last, but we'll see what happens. They can prove me wrong.
Yeah, they go either way. There's a lot of... This is also an unpredictable division, not quite as much as the North, in my opinion, but I've got the Saints winning it at 13-3. They are my best team in the league this year, is my prediction. However, with a disclaimer that I think they're due for some serious injuries too. I feel like they have not had a year where injury has plagued them for a long time. We haven't seen Breeze really go down. We haven't seen Kamara go down for too long. We haven't seen Michael Thomas go down for too long. If they have the right injuries happen to them, they will not be 13-3 this year. But I don't know. They have a good chance, and I'd say better than not, to be 13-3. But there's some precarious things in this league, and also one of my most wild predictions of this year is the Panthers. I think that they were built to be a Super Bowl contender last year, but Newton's shoulder went out. Who was their tight end that was really good? That he broke his foot a couple times in the year. It was
it Olsen?
Olsen, yeah. They had Olsen, but Christian McCaffrey stepped up. They had some good players last year, and they also had F.A. Obata was a monster. Thomas Davis did really well. They have pieces, and if they're coached right, and if everything goes right, this is my wild prediction, but I have them at 12-4. I think that the Panthers were supposed to be 12-4 last year. They fell off the wagon after they got to like 8 wins, and then 7 wins, and then they lost 9 of the next 10
9 in the row. Yeah,
yeah, they had an awful breakdown. So I'm going to be optimistic and say they don't have a breakdown this year and get the record that they should have had last year, even without Olsen. That's my argument for them. But I have the Falcons in third at 6-10, and the Bucks in last at 5-11. I think those two are interchangeable because they're so bad. I just don't see, especially. I mean, there's coaching changes, player changes going on both those organizations, and they can't seem to get any traction, especially the Falcons since 2016. That was their year, and they blew that fourth quarter, and it's been all downhill from there. They haven't been able to recuperate from that devastating loss. So, that's my prediction for the NFC South. One bold one, but then the rest is pretty predictable.
Yeah. I like your Panthers pick. I could totally see that happening. The one person I trust on their team, well, overall, is Ron Rivera, their coach. I think he's a great coach.
He's a good coach.
I think that a lot of the stuff that has happened to the Panthers the past couple of years isn't his fault. It's injuries and, stuff that's, major breakdowns by players.
Oh, I forgot they have Eric Reed at safety now, which helped them out last year because they were pretty weak in the secondary until he came along. But and despite Eric Reed's off the field antics and all that kneeling for the anthem stuff, he is a good player, and he did help their defense out once he got there. But if Newton's not healthy, they won't do it. But assuming that Newton is healthy this year, they could be 12-4. I feel like.
I think Newton for sure is an X factor, but also Luke Kuechly.
He's a big factor too.
He's an X factor. If he's not playing well, their defense won't be as strong. I don't feel like.
Yeah, they need Kuechly to step up. But they also have Thomas Davis, and then, like I said, F.A. Obata really stood up at the very end of the year, started getting penetration, started getting sacks and stuff. He became kind of a monster at the end. So we'll see if he continues to step up. He has quite an amazing story. But all right, I'm going to take us through the final division, the NFC West. Boy, the NFC is less predictable for me than the AFC. I have a hard time with where this division's going to go. However, I am sure that the Rams are going to win this division.
Okay.
I don't think they'll be as good as last year. I would be surprised if they were Super Bowl contenders again. I'll gain a lot more respect for McVay, but they will be in the playoffs. I have them at 10-6. Winning the division. It's not going to be a very good division.
Right.
I've got the Niners optimistically at 9-7, assuming that Jimmy G doesn't go down in week 3. But they're down at 9-7. I believe, if I remember right, I may have had them at 10-6 back in May, but I can't remember for sure. But they're little Bosa boys at Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa's injured already. And so that's not looking good for their defense. He won't be in till week 2 or 3. And I am doubtful about those Bosa brothers. They're monsters when they're healthy, but they just don't stay healthy very long.
Yeah.
So I'm worried that Nick Bosa is not going to add what they need. Their secondary will be better this year, but not good enough. So I have them at 9-7. Seahawks 8-8. However, they could be better than the Niners. That's a toss-up. I could see the Seahawks anywhere between 10-6 and 6-10 by the end of the year. They're kind of a wild one, but I don't think Bruce Arians is going to rescue the Cardinals. I still have the Cardinals at 4-12. I feel like they have some personnel problems they've got to overcome. Fitzgerald's getting old. He's not going to save them. They're still figuring out quarterback. They had a disaster with was it Rosen last year? Yeah. That's a disaster. And now they've got, what's his bucket out of college?
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. And I'm sure he'll be good, but that's just so much to ask. Having 2 new quarterbacks, that's so much change and trying to shape stuff. So I think the Cardinals will be one of the worst teams in the league 2 years in a row.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. So this was kind of my bold take, I guess, kind of like your Panthers take. I have the Seahawks winning the division.
I could see that too. That's not far off. They're always a contender.
Yeah, I guess it's not that bold.
But no, that's
yeah. I've got them. Well, it's bold in the sense that the Rams are still a powerhouse. But I've got the Seahawks winning the division at 11-5. I think that they've got all the pieces. They're still. They had a little blow up, kind of like the Falcons, but I think they've recovered well. They've still, like, Russell Wilson's an X factor. He's you can't go wrong with him. He's so good that he's going to carry that offense. And then they've still got Bobby Wagner and all those defensive players who are even though they've lost a lot of people, Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman and all them, they've still got a good defense. So I've got them winning. I've got the Rams at 10-6, coming in second. I think they'll still make the playoffs. And then I got the 49ers at 7-9.
Yeah,
they were a hard one because I want to be optimistic about them. I want to see Jimmy G succeed.
Yeah,
I want to see George Kittle continue to play real well. I think he might have. He had a record year last year, but
yeah, they've got some great pieces. I feel like they can never quite as a team make it happen. They have a weakness and they always get exploited.
Yeah. And that's why I've got them at 7-9, because I want to be optimistic about them, but I feel like they'll be better than last year, but not quite over the hump to where they're a playoff team.
I agree.
And then I've got the Cardinals at 4-12. But
that's what I had them at.
I could see them at 1-15, 2-14, probably no more than 4-12.
Oh, I'm mixed up. Bruce Arians is coaching the Bucks. I'm going to have to edit that out. I said Bruce Arians won't. I said Bruce Arians won't save the Cardinals, but he's not coaching them anymore. I got to cut that out. That's embarrassing.
That's fine.
Our listeners are going to go nuts. So, anyways, it's not a coaching problem. I think the Cardinals have personnel problems. But sorry, Bruce Arians is in Tampa Bay. I don't know why I said that.
No, it's all good. I think their new coach is Cliff Kingsbury.
You're probably sitting there, never mind, idiot brother.
No,
he thinks that Bruce
fine.
Arians still works in Arizona.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I think Mike McCarthy's still in Green Bay, and then I remember what happened. So
yeah, I can't keep track. Coaches get fired and moved around so much, I don't even know. All I know is Hugh Jackson's not with the Browns anymore.
That's the big one. That's the big
one. Hey, I think we have time for our week 1 predictions on this podcast. If you want to go through those, Tyson, how do you feel?
Okay, yeah, let's get to it.
Let's go for it. I'm going to be doing this on the fly. I didn't really look at this before, and so I've got to pull this up on schedule. I'm going to just do these as we go.
Okay, well, I am too, because I haven't looked at them.
Yeah, no, this will be good, though. This will be good to go over these. So I've got week 1 pulled up here. Let's go first game. We've got the Packers at Chicago playing the Bears to kick off the season. How about you, Tyson? What do you think?
Yeah, so this is fun because, the NFL's doing their 100th season. It's the NFL 100, and I think it's awesome that they're kicking off the season with the oldest rivalry in the league. The two oldest, well, the Cardinals are older, but the two second oldest teams, the Packers and the Bears.
Yeah,
the oldest rivalry, classic matchup. I'm going to go with the Bears. They're in Chicago. I think they're going to pick up right where they left off. That Aaron Rodgers had that Hail Mary at the end of, what was it, the first game? They played the Bears their first game last year. Mm-hmm. They kind of came out on top there, but I think the Bears are going to get back on top this year and take this first game.
I think so. I think it'll be close. I think the Packers, it's kind of a coin flip for me because week 1 always has some fluky things happen. But I do think the Bears are closer than I think. Discrepancies between the player talent on the two teams. But okay, so the next game is the Falcons and Vikings. This is odd. I do feel like the Falcons could win this one. Sometimes the Falcons have some hot games at weird times of the year, and I just think they're going to catch the Vikings off guard at home. So I'm going to go Falcons. But again, that's kind of a coin flip. That's a hard one.
That is a hard one.
Week 1's always hard in general, I feel like.
Week 1's really unpredictable. I'm going to go with you the same here. I think the Falcons, they do have something to prove. Everyone's kind of down on them because of that Super Bowl loss. I think they're going to try to turn it around this season. They're going to come in and take this first game against Minnesota. I feel like Minnesota is going to struggle until they prove me wrong that they are still that team that was good.
Yeah, that's true. All right, take us through the Bills and Jets. Bills at New York.
This is the ugliest. The two ugliest teams in the league.
It's an ugly uniform matchup for sure.
Yeah, the Jets and Bills. It's a classic matchup, but it's just so horrible. Like every time,
it could have been great in the '90s. They had some good matchups in the '90s, but not since the 2000s. I feel like. Yeah,
I'm gonna go with the Bills. I think that the Bills, just from what I've seen in preseason, and in my picks, I had them flip flop, but I think the Bills are shaping up to be a better team than the Jets.
I thought that the Bills would do too, but I'm actually going to take the Jets on this one, so we have a little bit of variety. I feel like there's a great chance the Bills could come in and shock the boys in New Jersey, but I'm gonna stick with the Jets. I think they'll win this one. But again, that's kind of a lame coin toss.
Yeah.
Redskins, Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles. I don't think the Redskins will be near prepared enough to come in and shock the Eagles at home in week 1. I think that the Redskins must feel like they're overmatched already. I'm going to take the Eagles.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to go with variety on this one because the Eagles are going to win.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Colts and Chargers. What's your take on this?
Ooh, this is a good one.
This is a good one.
This is going to be a good game, and it's hard because they're both. I see these two teams almost equal. You know, the Colts were not quite as good as the Chargers last year, but I think with everything they've done, they're right up there with them. I think that. Oh man, I'm going to go with the Colts because I think you're going to pick the Chargers.
Actually, no, I was going to take the Colts. I was going to tell you, I feel like the Chargers almost always have some weird first few games where they just don't quite get on track. They get hotter in the second half of the season usually.
Yeah.
So if they're going to have a slow start, the Colts is the team to lose to, especially since they have no home field advantage. There's going to be more Colts fans than Chargers fans there. So I think the Colts will win that one. I'm with you on that one. Giants and Cowboys. I think the Cowboys will win this one. I don't think the Giants will be playing as a team well enough. The Cowboys have enough pieces still together from last year that they'll hold it together and win at home. What are your takes on that one?
So this is one I agree with you. But with all the stuff that's been going on with Zeke and Dak,
Mm-hmm.
I could see the Giants slipping one by them in week 1.
Yeah,
especially if Zeke's not there.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask the Giants to be able to do that, especially in week 1.
Yeah. The thing is, though, that Cowboys defense is really good. So I'll go with variety on this one. I'm going to pick the Giants.
Giants. All right.
Just because I think the Cowboys will do better overall, but week 1's hard, and especially if Dak and got them mixed up, Dak and Zeke are not there, I could see the Giants slipping one by the Cowboys.
Yeah. All right. So next, give us your take on the Lions and the Cardinals. It's the lame matchup.
Oh my goodness, some of these. The Lions are going to win. The Cardinals. It'd be a cool, fun story. Kyler Murray wins his first game, but I think the Lions are going to win.
Yeah, I agree. I think Patricia and company will come in and beat the Cardinals. Cardinals won't be ready. Kyler Murray's going to take a little getting used to. He's a good player, but I think there will be a little learning curve. It'll be like Darnold last year.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a learning curve. Lions will take that one. Texans at Saints. I think this could be a good game, actually, if the Texans come out firing on all cylinders. However, I have the Saints at 13-3, and I don't think the Texans in week 1 will be that loss, one of those 3 losses. So I have the Saints. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. The Saints are going to win this game. They're in New Orleans.
They're strong at home. They have a fat home field advantage.
Oh yeah, that crowd is nuts. And they're going to be hungry all year. So Saints are going to win.
The Saints can win the Super Bowl this year if they stay hungry and angry enough about last year. That's the kind of thing NFL Films would center a film around, is being upset about that call. That's enough to supercharge a team to greatness the next year. So
yeah.
And let's see, Chiefs and Jaguars. What are your take on this?
Well, I only have the Chiefs losing 2 games this year, and I think I said one will be the Patriots and one will be the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chiefs are. I've got to pick the Chiefs to stay consistent.
I think I will too. I didn't have the Chiefs as good as you, but the Jaguars. I mean, last year they came out on fire and fizzled after week 3 or 4, but they beat the Patriots really early on, and they were looking really good for the first 3 or 4 weeks. I think it'll be a better game than we think it'll be, but I think the Chiefs will ultimately win it. Take us through the Titans and Browns next. I've got it's another kind of lame matchup. I think that this is one, the Titans are always a coin flip. They're so unpredictable, but I'm going to take the Browns in this one because they're at home. Everyone's excited about them. and things will have to go terribly wrong if they slip up and don't make it happen. I'll take the Browns. How about you for this one?
Okay. I like that, but for variety's sake, since that's a thing,
since it's a coin flip game,
it's a coin flip game. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot for this, but I'm gonna pick the Titans just despite all those overhyped Browns.
Yeah, shut them up a little bit.
Like the Browns could definitely win this game, but the Titans know that the Browns are overhyped. They know what the challenge is, and I don't think the Browns have proven themselves yet. Obviously, I'm going to go with the Titans just to shake things up on this.
Awesome. Now, I'm assuming you don't think that the Ravens are going to be one of the two teams that the Dolphins beat this year. Ravens and Dolphins. What are you taking the Ravens on that then?
I am taking the Ravens to beat the Dolphins in week 1. I'm saving one of my 2 wins for the Patriots and the other one for the Jets.
So you think the Bills will beat them both times this year?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll buy you dinner if that happens. Remember, so you've got some good stuff on the line. I'll take the Ravens as well. I think that Allen's going to take some getting used to in Miami. I don't know if he's going to adjust quickly or not. Probably not. So I'll take the Ravens. Rams and Panthers. This is going to be a great game, especially since they're in Carolina. Panthers were hot last year. I'm going to surprisingly take the Panthers on this one. I feel like they'll be hot like they did last year.
Okay.
But again, it's kind of a coin flip. I feel it's going to be a good game, so I could see both teams winning, but I'll take the Panthers.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good game, especially if the Panthers shape up to be kind of the team you were talking about. I'm going to go with the Rams. They're hungry too. They embarrassed themselves in the Super Bowl.
That was an embarrassing Super Bowl.
So, yeah, I bet they're pretty hungry too. So I'm going to go with the Rams on this one.
That's about as close as you can come to being shut out.
Right.
The only one closer was the Dolphins 24-3 drop to the Cowboys. I mean, there's only 2 teams that have ever scored just 3 points in a Super Bowl, right?
Right. But the thing is, though, the Dolphins did it back when defense was huge, the running game was huge, points were harder to come by. It's embarrassing for the Rams because they have such a supercharged offense in an age of offense where scoring is a lot easier than it ever has been.
They were the team that put up 54 points against the Chiefs in that shootout, and then they put up 3 points in the Super Bowl. That was a shocking, lame Super Bowl last year. We better have a better Super Bowl this year.
Right. Yeah.
All right, take us through the Bengals and Seahawks. This is kind of an easy one, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks. They're in Seattle. They've got a huge home field advantage. Bengals, Sorry, Nathan.
Easy. That's milk toast. 49ers and Buccaneers. I feel like the 49ers are going to actually come in hot and beat the Buccaneers at home week 1. This is one of those weird ones where you think the Bucs should win it, but I just have a feeling the Niners will have a good first week. They had a good first week last year too, and then they just, then Jimmy G went down. But anyways, I got Niners for this.
Okay. Is Jimmy G set to play week 1?
I believe he is. I'll have to check on that.
If Jimmy G
that'll be a factor. Yeah.
Yeah. If Jimmy G plays week 1, I'm going to pick the 49ers. If not, I pick the Bucs. But since we're on the air here, I'm going to go with the 49ers, assuming Jimmy G plays. I'll go with you on that.
Cool. Oh, here's a good game here. Steelers at Patriots. Take us through this one.
As much as I would like to see the Steelers win this game.
Right, and they have been bamboozled by the Patriots so much in recent history.
I know. There's no way. There is a way the Steelers could beat the Patriots. I don't think it'll happen. I think the Patriots will win. And there's some voodoo that always happens to the Steelers too in Foxborough.
Yeah.
The Patriots have henchmen everywhere in the stadium. Their radio signals. They've got people, employees in the opposite team's locker room trying to steal playbooks and stuff. Just kidding.
Right. Oh my goodness.
So here's an interesting thing. Every time Peyton Manning would play in Foxborough, he would not speak out loud about the game plan. He would always go in a private place and talk to the person he needed to talk to because he was paranoid that people were listening, that someone was listening in Foxborough. Like
Those New Englanders, man, they'll cheat.
yeah, well,
Just kidding. Now we're gonna have a raid after us. Well, no, just kidding.
I know. Sorry, Patriots fans.
Sorry, Patriots. Just ignore us. We're lowly 49er and Dolphins fans that have been seeing disappointment for a while. So
We love Tom Brady, but we don't like the Patriots.
Tom Brady. Yeah, I like Tom Brady. All right, Tyson, take us through the Monday night matchup: Broncos at Raiders.
Oh, maybe this will be my tie. I picked the Broncos and Raiders to tie, so I'm gonna go way out on a limb.
Hey, we had week 1 ties. We had week 1 and 2 ties last year. So
yeah, I'm gonna go way out on a limb and say this is the Broncos Raiders tie.
That is a big limb, but if you get it right, you should win something. I feel like because that's a bold prediction. A tie is always a bold prediction. But I'm going to take the Raiders in this one. I think that they're a better team than the Broncos, and the Broncos will have a little proving to do to shut me up and make me realize, So I think this will be one of the Raiders' wins. Yeah, that is if AB's foot's not toasted anymore. No, just kidding.
Right, and if he wears his helmet.
If he wears his helmet, yeah, if he wears the right helmet. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I think we've reached that time. We are at the point where I present the honorary football card for the podcast, and I think you're going to like this one. I have a classic. This comes from the 1997 collection that we got back in the day, but we've got Shane Burton. Number 75 for the Dolphins, sitting in his sideline. This is a classic card. It always made me laugh when I was a kid because I was like, he's just having a good time, and they're probably losing 60-7.
Right.
This was during that Jaguars game. No, just kidding.
That is a good card. It's funny because I remember that card, but I don't remember him doing anything for the Dolphins. I remember
he was a player. Yeah, I mean, it says he had 3 sacks in '96, so he was kind of he looks like a run-of-the-mill kind of player, but it was just funny because I always remember seeing him in that beanie on the sideline, but that's our card. I thought I'd kick it off with an old, funny classic,
Yeah, I like that.
These are good memories coming back seeing these. So that's our card for the week. And all right, Tyson, for our listeners who are just joining us for 2019, will you explain the numbers game to anyone who may not know what that is?
Yeah, so what we do at the end of each podcast, we take a random number generator online, and we have it pull up a number between 1 and 99, and we say who the player is with that jersey number that first comes to our mind. So say I say number 3, I say Babe Ruth. Just kidding. So yeah, whoever the jersey number reminds us of, we say that player and then talk about it because it's fun.
I feel like I've got a great number this week. I got a good number generated. It's going to be interesting to see who comes to mind first for you for this number. So I don't know who wants to go first. Guess it doesn't matter because we're not going to remember back to last year who went first.
Right, yeah.
But I brought the card, so I think that you should go first so we can hear from you. So I'm going to give you the number first because I'm so excited.
Okay.
You come up with, and then you give me the number after. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
Your number this week, and I'm so curious because there's a lot of good candidates for this one. Who comes to mind first when you hear the number 88?
88. Immediately, I think of Michael Irvin.
Ah, yes.
So, yeah, he's kind of the number 188 in my mind, which leads to Des Bryant as well because he wore 88 for the Cowboys.
Yes.
So after that, Tony Gonzalez. He just made it into the Hall of Fame. He was 88 on the Chiefs, I think.
Wow, you haven't named the one that I thought was gonna be named by now. There's another 88 that was pretty big historically.
Oh, who was that?
See if you can think of it. I'll give you 10 seconds to think.
Let's see, 88. Reggie Wayne wasn't 88, was he? He was 87.
Yeah, he was. Marvin Harrison was 88.
Oh, Marvin Harrison was 88.
But this player, I think, because of some certain catches made in some certain games, is quite an iconic player. And now
Okay.
I think a broadcaster.
Lynn Swan.
There it is. That's
Okay.
the one. So
Okay.
I thought of Michael Irvin, and then Lynn Swan was my second that I thought of. I just remember those catches back in Super Bowl X on those movies we used to watch, and I think because of those iconic catches, he's an iconic player. So I thought of Lynn Swan as well.
Okay. Yeah. That takes me way back. I was thinking a little more
Recent.
90s, early 2000s. Yeah. No, that's a good one.
Oh, that's good. I'm trying to think if there were any other good number 88. Let's see. Oh, Drew Pearson wasn't Drew Pearson number 88 for the Cowboys?
Yeah. Another Cowboys 88. Yeah, that's a classic number for them.
That is, right?
Yeah.
I think Drew Pearson was 88. I'm looking it up. Yeah, he was. He was 88.
Yeah. And then Marvin Harrison. I thought, I was thinking Reggie Wayne, but yeah, Marvin Harrison was one that came to mind.
Yes. Tight end on the Packers team that played the Broncos in '97, Bubba Frank.
Oh yeah.
88.
Bubba Franks. That's funny.
Oh my gosh. Trying to think if there's anyone else. Let's see.
More recently, Demaryius Thomas wore it for the Broncos. I know.
Oh yeah, Marius Thomas.
Yeah, that's a good number.
Oh yes, that's a classic. I was excited when I got that one. All right, well I'm ready for your number for me.
Okay, and we may have done this one before, but there are two really classic players that came to my mind first, and then one more modern. So your number is number 20.
Number 20. Weirdly enough, the first person that came to mind was Garrison Hurst from the 49ers.
Really?
I don't know why he came first because there's so many better candidates. I'm thinking of, after I think of Garrison Hurst of all the people, I think of Barry Sanders.
A
big one, and Ed Reed is the other big 20 that I thought of. Can you think of other big 20s? I don't know why Garrison Hurst came to mind first.
Yeah, so Garrison Hurst, I completely forgot about him. Barry Sanders and Ed Reed were the two big ones that I was thinking.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the more modern player that came to mind was Jalen Ramsey on the Jaguars.
Yes. That's a good one. I think a big gap that I probably would not have thought of unless if I saw a picture on Google was Brian Dawkins. I didn't even think about him for the Eagles. That's a big one.
Yeah, he's a good.
There's a bunch of good number 20s. 20 is a classic number.
Yeah. Rashad Jones on the Dolphins wears it.
Number 20. Rondé Barber was number 20, wasn't he?
Yep, he was. Let's see. Mike Singletary, going way back.
Mike Singletary was number 20?
He was 50.
Sorry. He was 50. Oh, gotcha. I was like, wait a minute.
I'm seeing a Bears 20 jersey for some reason.
Bears 20.
In my mind. I don't know. It wasn't Mike Singletary, folks. Sorry. He was number 50.
Let's see. I'll look it up. Number 20. Oh, they used to have that Prince Amakumara guy back in 1997 or whatever. I don't know if he was that old, but he was. I don't know. I know who I've seen a number 20 on the Bears before.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I can't think of it. It's probably it's probably from an old. Like the more I'm thinking about it, it's probably like a really old football card of a number 20 on the Bears.
Probably from like the 97 season or something.
Yeah, probably something random like that.
I'm just trying to think if we're missing anyone big. Listeners, if you guys think we're missing anyone big that's number 20, please let us know because we are. I'm as It feels like it's a number that should have more famous people that wear it.
Yeah, and there probably are.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. We'll keep thinking, but for now, I think that does it for the numbers game.
It does. Well, it's good to be back.
Good to be back. Tyson, if you were to pick 3 teams that you're most excited to watch for the 2019 season, just before we head out, let us know which 3 teams you're most stoked about.
So the 3 teams that I'm most excited to watch this year.
About. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see the Chiefs. I'm excited to see the Eagles. And I'm excited to see the Chargers, actually. I think that division is going to be one of the most exciting between the Chiefs and Chargers. So
absolutely. I've got some weird teams. I'm anxious to see, as odd as this is, they're usually so boring. I'm anxious and curious to see how the Jets will do this year. After all the hype, I'm curious to see how the Browns will do this year. Because there's been so much talk about those 2 teams, but they haven't done anything yet, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if they'll back it up or if they'll just continue to be miserable failures. But
yeah.
And then the third team I'm excited about, of course, is the Panthers that we were talking about earlier. I want to see if they're actually going to be good or bad this year because, well, we won't know till we know, and we won't know till the foot hits the leather and 2019 is underway. But man, Tyson, thank you for joining me today. This is fun to get this back on the air.
It is fun, and I'm excited for that fall weather and the pigskin to get out there and get tossed around.
Absolutely, man. We're so on board. It's going to be good. Hey, guys, tune in to this podcast. Again, this is the Direct Snap Dads podcast. Be sure to subscribe. Leave us a good review on iTunes. Heaven knows we need them. All 9 of our listeners, we are grateful for you guys.
Yes, we are.
Awesome, man.
And I totally forgot our Twitter. I totally forgot our email. So if you're trying to contact us, think again. Just listen to an old podcast because I don't remember.
It's the old podcast. It seems like the Twitter handle was like @DirectSnapDads.
No, it was @DadSnap.
It was something
like
weird. @DadSnap. So you guys be sure to tweet us. I don't even check Twitter anymore. Heck, I think this is man. If you know us, reach out. Otherwise, you can't find us. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully, we'll catch you next time. We're excited for another great year of football. We'll see you guys later.